they really want to reduce their finance emissions. They have no tools to do so. So if, let's say, there's a bank that also has presence in 20 other markets, then we would essentially go with them. Entering other markets is not massively difficult. We obviously need to ensure that they're solution providers and what are kind of the guardrails within the respective markets. But yeah, it really goes with the expansion of the kind of core banking customers.
With the pilot that you've launched so far, what lessons have you learned? What kind of like insights that you weren't expecting have popped up?
Yeah, so the couple of lessons we had, I mean, we built a product and we're kind of constantly evolving our user experience, right? And there will be more changes needed, right? Because what we think is clear is not necessarily clear to a farmer, nor to a banker, right? And ultimately we have several stakeholders to manage, right? We want not just the management team from the bank to believe in our product, but also the bankers that day-to-day manage the farmers. We need to make their life easier, right? And we need to equally sell this into them as we do into the overall, right? And not all stakeholders within the bank have the same motivation. So we'll definitely make some more product amendments, and also in terms of market expansion, I think they're definitely things we haven't considered before. So we do need to tweak the product in some cases from market to market a little bit.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Jen. Jen from Atmo. Brilliant. Fantastic. Up next, we have Rob from Supply Chain Insights. Just to give a bit of feedback on the previous, I actually really love the design. It's very visual, very beautiful, design-led deck. Very clear.
We did one question I was going to ask is like, if you had to choose between are we working for the farmers or are we working for the banks? Be interesting in the future.
I know which one I would love to support more.
Right, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Rob Chester. I've formed a startup called SCI, and we need the investment money because I need to stay married. So my career dream, 20 years ago, I used to manage risk for Walmart around the world, and I always had a dream around developing what I call real-time assurance. And I bet my career on it and set up an organization with 5 other founders to create SCI, because basically, the earlier you know, the sooner you can act, and the sooner you can act, the more value that you can add. Because the problem's clear, but the industry focus isn't. So the food industry accounts for 26% of total greenhouse gas emissions. 82% of that 26% comes from 15 farm commodities. And yet, amongst the 20 largest retailers, only 6 have even set targets for their supply chain. Why is that? It's because the current tools don't work. So as a compliance officer like me at Walmart, I had a choice between 2 groups of people. Data modelers that are fast but incredibly inaccurate when it comes to measuring agricultural commodities, because farming's variable. This is not like doing a car door for a car. You know, this is people planting things in the ground. It's variable. Or traditional assurance providers who are slow and largely, when it comes to agriculture, totally irrelevant because an audit on a farm simply doesn't do it. So that's the market opportunity that we've seen, and we see we're creating a new approach, not really competing with the current players. Got a call a year ago from a global retailer basically saying, I'm worried about greenwash, I want to tackle my number 1 commodity. You know that old real-time assurance thing, Chester, you used to bang on about? Could it work for my number 1 commodity? And it was rice. And this is the slide I just want to spend the most time on just to explain what we did. So the green boxes are what you'd expect a traditional certification body to do. The orange boxes is what we created and what we developed. So he gave us a group of 30 farmers to work with. We set out a standard at the start to reduce the impact of growing rice. So we put some really rigorous research in at the beginning to figure out what is it we've actually got to do to reduce the impact of rice. And that was all about controlling water and controlling fertilizer use. And then we developed our own proprietary technology with the farmers. And we developed our own app that we used and the farmers used. And what the farmers did was basically take images every day to prove that they were doing the right thing, because controlling water use is all about letting the fields dry out, which is why audits don't work and data doesn't really work. But every day the farmer was taking images to prove they were doing the right thing on water use and fertilizer use. And then what we were doing was interacting with them real time. So when they send their images in every day, we will be course correcting. If they've done a good job, well done, Mr. Farmer, keep going. If they've done a bad job, we were course correcting real time. So they weren't getting to the end of the crop and then figuring out they got a problem. They were getting real time course correction from us. All very good, Mr. Chester, but what did it lead to? So we managed to reduce the carbon impact of growing rice by 36%. And that's a bulletproof assurance, because we ended up with 37,000 images basically showing that these farmers were doing the right thing every day. And because we were working with the farmers, we didn't impact yield whatsoever. And we managed to achieve compliance rates of 95%, which is frankly unheard of in the compliance industry. You don't achieve that level of compliance. The retailer's delighted, so they want us to go from working with 30 farmers to working with 1,000 farmers. So they want to do half of their own label rice by 2030 using this methodology, because they liked it so much and it worked so well with the farmers so much. And they want us to apply the methodology that we used for rice to the other 14 commodities that's equally their challenge, the beef, the dairy, etc., because the methodology we developed we think can work across all of these commodities. So we've got 3 scaling opportunities. Obviously the rice industry alone, 3 billion people eat rice every week. Just that market alone is absolutely enormous. But we can also scale towards the other 14 commodities that need to be tackled, and we can see that we can scale to manage other aspects of risk. Because although we're doing this for sustainability at the moment, there's no reason why we couldn't be managing the other aspects of risk that could be managed through images and managed through data. The market opportunity is huge. McKinsey says so, Walmart says so, everybody says so. So I won't dwell on that. And the competitive positioning we've got is we think we're the only one that's doing the dynamic reporting with high verification. You've heard a lot of tools over the last couple of days that are all using self-reported data. It's not data that's been validated. And if it ain't been validated, quite frankly, I don't know how you rely on it. Because if it hasn't been validated, how do you know the farmer's interested in the right data? And most people don't. Our financial projections, we've been going 4 years. We're already cash flow positive. We've grown at 50% for each of our 3 years. And most of that is with annually recurring revenue. So we're a really safe investment in that we've got a good solid business already, but we've got this new really interesting invention coming along that can disrupt the marketplace. But if we were to be successful, we'd use funds for 3 things: to develop the platform, to do research and product development, because doing rice in India is different to doing rice in Thailand. We think it's about 75% the same, but you'd have to do some local tailoring for that. And obviously we need to invest in marketing, because just trying to get a voice in this world is just so difficult. So why SCI? Well, firstly, we've proven it on the ground. We've got the bulletproof evidence. We're tremendously fast. We weren't even in the sustainability game 15 months ago. We've managed to be on the ground with a proven case study that works. Tremendously efficient, because hey, I worked for Walmart for 13 years. You can't do anything else. It's marketable. So the customer that we've worked with here has already appeared on 4 global stages telling the story of what we've done. And that always says you're on the right track when your customer's doing your marketing for you. And finally, we obviously think it's really scalable, because there's so many problems where this verified data is going to be needed. Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I hope you stay married.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it was a really good presentation, very sort of clear. I do have 2-3 questions to challenge you. And you mentioned that there is no transparency in the supply chain because the technology is not there. But actually, I would argue that there is no transparency because the regulation is not there, because businesses don't have to. So in the long term, especially with regulation being less and less strict and the consumer is more and more sensitive to pricing, what is the business model for this?
So in the world that I came from, you see, if I was only doing a thing as a Walmart compliance officer because the regulation required me to, I was usually miles behind the game. The retailers compete on aspects like food safety and health and safety and do it because it's the right thing to do. So this thing around this, I don't believe regulation will be the driver. What will be the driver will be the net zero commitments that all these companies have made, and hopefully a bit of competition between them.
But they're all walking back on them these days.
Well, I agree, which is why you need the forerunner. I truly, back to my slide about the challenge of doing this, I truly believe is because there isn't a tool at the moment that works. They've got a choice between auditors that frankly don't really work on farm. You can't audit very small rice farms, it just doesn't work. Or the data companies who actually haven't got verified data. And because of the greenwash challenge they all have now around proving the claims, I think that's why we're onto something with what we've done. But it will not be, in my view, it will not be regulation, because for a start, that has to be global. So we did this in Thailand. You'd be waiting for the Thai government to mandate it. I think it's the retailers that you want to drive the focus, because that will move a heck of a lot faster than the regulation, in my view.
Okay. And one more question. You mentioned that the way you verify is you ask the farmer to take a photo every day of how much they irrigate the field. How is that corresponds to carbon emissions?
No, so we didn't. So what we did was we knew the key thing was around controlling water use and controlling fertilizer use. So every day we had the farmer start with a selfie, so we knew it was them. We GPS enabled the technology, so we knew where they were when they did the check. And then all they did was take images of the water reading and the amount of fertilizer that they used. And because they were taking images of water pipes and the amount of fertilizer, because over the period, we had them do it every day over the 4-month growing cycle, it was so much harder to do it wrong than do it right than it was to do it wrong. The difficulty, if you can imagine, if you tried to fake this for 37,000 images across 30 farms, it's really, really impossible to do. So we did do some auditing to make sure that they'd done the right thing, but bottom line is, the images that we were collecting, because of the GPS enablement, because of the selfie, and because we audited them all, we know we can really rely on the data that came out the other side.
But how does that correspond to emissions?
How it corresponds to emissions?
Yeah.
Because basically, if you control the water use, flooded paddy fields creates aerobic digestion. Mm-hmm. That's what creates the methane. That's why rice is such a climate killer. So it all comes down to, when we did the analysis at the start, there were 25 different interventions that we could do. The top 2 were all around controlling the water use and controlling the fertilizer. So we then generated all the evidence to say we had done the right thing every day with the farmers, which is what enabled us then to work with the academic university in Thailand to then validate the claims that if you've controlled it that way, that's the greenhouse gas emissions that you've actually reduced.
Thank you.
Wow. Thanks, Rob. A question about the scaling up of the business. So if someone gives you this first check and you've got these pretty impressive sort of pilots off the ground now, in 2 or 3 years' time, I mean, there's a part of this which strikes me as a bit labor intensive at the moment. So how many people are you going to employ a year or 2 years from now? And where does AI fit in, like automating the entire process?
Great question. So we've already integrated AI even within the MVP. Because the great thing about the assurance industry is it's totally repetitive. So once you've figured out what these checks are that you're trying to control, AI is built to scale it, because you're doing the same thing day after day after day, which is how the assurance industry works. Sorry, what was your first question again? I went straight to your AI and then flipped it.
How many people are you going to employ a year from now?
So what we think we scale up to 50 people is what we think in 3 years' time, because the hope of working it alongside the technology is, at the moment, we felt it was really important with the first group of farmers to train them face to face, so they really grasped it, they really understood it. But we've recorded all of the training that we've done. So if the next retailer doesn't want to do all of the face-to-face training, we think the app could be a really good way that we could embed the training, we can embed the checklist, we can embed the checks. So we think we've got a way of relatively efficiently scaling it. Question?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rob. Really appreciate your pitch today. There's no question here, just a little bit of feedback that might not mean anything is like your name, Supply Chain Insights. It's going to be very hard for you to own that kind of name, branding, insight, trademark kind of vibe. So maybe have a think about something that you can own.
Yeah,
just
good.
A weird name.
And to be fair, everybody knows us as SCI. It's the acronym, but thanks, very good feedback.
Yeah, love it. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Cheers,
thank you.
everyone. Next up, we have Lijo from Hubble Logistics, Cool Run. Thank you.
So the clicker doesn't work, you're just going to go. Oh, you said.
Hello everyone, my name is Lijo Jose. I'm the CEO of Hubble Logistics, where our mission is to decarbonize food transport. Cold chain failures cost us hundreds of billions of dollars every year in food waste. Between 25 and 50% of vaccines are lost every year because of cold chain gaps. Cold chain logistics relies on diesel-powered refrigerated trucks, one of the most polluting urban road vehicle, if not the most. It's a highly fragile system as well, prone to breakdowns, lots of mechanical components, compressors, and all sorts of parts, and auxiliary engine on the top reacts very badly to vibrations and the weather. And so it even affects the most vital deliveries, be it for the military operations or for disaster relief of critical supplies like blood, food, medicines. So clearly today's cold chain is broken, and Cool Run is creating the cold chain the world urgently needs. We are transforming the 113 billion food transport industry with patent-pending passive cooling technology, modular, sustainable, temperature-controlled pods. Food makes up for between 70 and 80% of overall cold chain volumes. Our pods keep food chilled for 30 hours and frozen for 17. It integrates IoT features for tracking temperature, location, and door activity in real time. And it has a low maintenance 10-year life, given it has no moving parts, no mechanical parts. We also save customers 12% in ownership costs, operating and ownership costs over a 10-year period. And that's been independently verified by a DFT-funded trial late last year. But Cool Run is more than just a product. We are a system shift. We are decoupling cold chain from diesel trucks. Now cold products can move via rail, boats, cargo bikes, vans. It's plug-and-play cold chain that just works. The UK is our core market where we have de-risked the technology and proven demand. We have 45,000 pounds in committed sales and a near-term probability-weighted pipeline of 11 million pounds. We are either actively running trials or due to start trials soon with the largest supermarkets in the UK, as well as the largest supermarket chain in Africa. We're seeing a lot of demand coming out of Africa. In some countries, food waste extends up to 70%. We are mass manufacturing ready. We have our first 100 pods completing in August of this year, and we enjoy a 45% gross margin at scale. We're raising £3 million in equity to scale our sales and marketing, to launch new product variants like Cool Run Mini for the van market, click and collect chilled lockers for grocery collections, and a rental model. We have a highly experienced team, including former head of quality control at Tesco, former head of marketing at DHL Express. We like to say we are a combination of thought leaders, hands-on engineers, and entrepreneurs with successful business track records. Finally, just to recap, what Cool Run is doing to cold chain is what shipping containers have done for global trade. We are modularizing it, we are making it intermodal and universally deployable. For investors, this is a real chance to shape the backbone, the infrastructural backbone of sustainable food systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I had the pleasure of listening to Hugh pitch Cool Run last year. I just wanted to learn some of or just understand what were some of the lessons and the progress made since the last Reset Connect and today.
Well, since last year, we've come a long way. So we're nearly there with our first 100 pods mass manufactured. So we are fully tooled up, ready to scale. We have signed up a number of customers since then, including the UK's largest supermarket and a number of other large food businesses here in the UK as well as in Africa. The Africa trial that's UKRI funded is progressing really well. We have completed a lot of trials from start to finish with various customers. That's given us the blueprint for scaling that side of the operations. And yeah, progress has been made across all fronts. The team is now fully settled and ready to go. Once funding is in, we've got a ton of work to do.
Nice, perfect, good job. I guess, look, for me, as feedback, I would have brought some of that traction earlier on in the presentation, like hook us in, get us in early on and show some of that validation. That would be one slight tweak. And just to understand, like, why trials? If you've already got the case studies, if you've got happy customers, I guess I'm trying to understand.
Sure.
Why do your customers go to trial versus let's just buy?
A couple of reasons. Part of the reason is that we are still an early concept in the market. We are reimagining the way food is being delivered. But at the same time, there are other pods out there. There are none in the UK, but there is a French company and a German company. Their temperature performance and several other features are way inferior to ours. But it is out there, and people are somewhat familiar with it. Now, because we are diving straight into their day-to-day operation, they would like to understand how it all works. And it's very simple. We can complete a trial in a matter of days. But our plan is to actually move to a model where trials are not required at all, and that will come eventually as more and more people adopt this. In fact, we've had a request from a supermarket chain in Africa just as of this week where they want a full container load of the pods without any trials or demos or just even kicking the tires. They understand the tech. They're happy with the spec sheets. So yeah, we will get there relatively soon, I believe.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I really enjoyed it. I think it was really concise, to the point, very clear. What is the value? What are you offering? So well done on that.
Thank you.
You called it as the tagline is decarbonizing food transfer. And actually, what you said in the presentation itself was much more than that. I wrote down one line that says, "Cold chain. We're creating cold chain as the world needs it." And I think this makes it so much more than just decarbonizing, because you're saving a lot of funding, you are cutting costs, you're also not just delivering food, but as you said yourself, it could be for medical applications and so on. So consider bringing that more forward.
Yeah, great idea.
So that's on the positive feedback. On the team side, there is no women in your team.
So unfortunately, the transport and logistics industry is heavily male-dominated. We do have someone here from our investor side, and we actually do have a couple of people in our team who are women, but on the admin side. But it's one of our key priorities. So there are future positions. We need a CFO, a manufacturing manager. There's tons of project management roles. So yeah, that we are very
diverse teams
very conscious of that.
Products,
we're very conscious of that. So that balance will be met.
Oh,
Yes.
great. And then one last question is: it seems like you are really doing well, and my question is like, why do you need funding?
So roughly half of that is to capitalize on the existing opportunities in our pipeline. We don't want to go too fast either, so we need to invest in the right infrastructure, the team members, like I mentioned, on the manufacturing operations side. We are looking to launch new product variants. So as we have done more trials, customers have told us what they need. So more bells and whistles on the existing version, as well as the shorter version for the van market and the locker version for grocery collection. And roughly about a third of that is production financing. So that's to fund the rental model, which is a significant opportunity of its own. The industry is very used to renting cold chain equipment, cold chain trucks, and so on. and also working capital for the first 6 to 9 months of the direct sale model until we can kickstart the Main Street trade finance lending.
Brilliant. A couple of questions. Are these pods, where are you making them? How much does it cost to make a pod? And what are they actually made of?
Yeah, so the pods are all UK made. We have one component coming from China. Significant tooling investment otherwise, but the tooling itself is portable. So our plan is to be asset light in the future, where we outsource the entire manufacturing to third parties, including the coordination of it. It's made of a combination of injection molded, blow molded plastic components, CNC carved metal components, and it's insulated with PU foam.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And well done.
Thanks very much.
Just also next time, try and bring one of those. You had the cool pod last time, if I remember. I'm not sure if you had like a demo. Oh, it's out here. Okay, love that. If you can try and control the climate in the room as you pitch, you just turn the temperature right down, get these people on their toes, and you said we're locking the doors, you can't leave. Up next, we have Sylvie from Tumblebug. What an interesting name. I'm looking forward to this one.
With this one? Yeah? Okay. Right, okay. I'll just find out how to jiggle it. I'm not as confident as the others. I'm sorry. So, anyway, good morning, everybody. My name's Sylvie. I'm the founder and CEO of Tumblebug. And over here we've got David, our chair, and Antonio, our head of engineering, who will help field questions. Okay. So, Tumblebug was born on a lockdown-era farm, contemplating a pile of manure. And the 90 million tonnes of overlooked organic resources produced in the UK each year. Inspired by the humble dung beetle, Tumblebug's another name for the dung beetle, we turn organic waste into renewal, regenerate soils and climate and our economy. Sorry, they've put the wrong presentation up. Sorry, you've got the wrong presentation.
2 seconds, we'll get that switched over for you. Perfect,
Okay,
perfect. I didn't, actually, interesting, I didn't know that the dung beetle was also called the tumblebug.
Yeah, it's a friendly name for a dung beetle. Sorry.
We'll be there in a few minutes. Here we go.
That was our talk presentation from yesterday.
This one?
It's the pitch one.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks. Sorry. Let's start again. Sorry. Right. Well, you know who I am, and you know what we're called. And so, okay. Thank you. So, we've spent 4 years developing fit-for-purpose biochar fertilisers and biochar growing mediums, and developing a unique on-farm pyrolysis technology which will empower farmers to become carbon removers. And all of this is enabling them to produce their own fertiliser, green energy, and develop validated carbon removal credits which will fund the capex by the food retail system. The problem we've got is agricultural resilience is collapsing. Valuable organic resources are squandered, and food retailers are struggling with Scope 3 emissions. We turn these problems into opportunities, carbon removal at farm level, and turning waste into an opportunity. Tumblebug provides the on-farm technology, training, and digital carbon removal evidence. Farmers use the waste from their suppliers, such as coffee grounds, and their own agricultural waste to develop their own fertilisers, energy, and they inset through the internal supply chain. Our market opportunity Our manufacturing facility in Exeter can produce 50 plus machines every year, and a conservative estimate is in our 1 to 5 goals we can produce 135 units, equating to over £7 million in turnover and a potential for 50,000 tonnes of carbon removed. We're currently under NDA for a feasibility trial with a major global PLC, which can enable the removal, the valorisation of 3,000 tonnes of coffee grounds, turning into over 50,000 tonnes of carbon removal. This is a snapshot of the development of our tumblebug pyrolysis system. The revenue will come from the sale of the pyrolysis units, increasing year on year, and then ongoing revenue from our DMRV fees. We're based at Blenheim Palace, where we've built a carbon demonstrator demonstrating our technology and evidencing all of this. We've got existing sales pipelines with Blenheim delivering 100,000 revenue a year, and then sales of our existing pipelines for other technologies we've developed, including on-site food recovery and our mushroom farms, which further valorises the coffee grounds. The competition. At the moment, the biochar market is growing exponentially. The problem is there are very small-scale technologies which are limited with their feedstocks, they're cheap, they're labour-intensive, and they don't recover the energy. The other end of the scale, you've got £1 to £2 million plus plants, which are unaffordable and lock farmers out of the equation. What we've done is built a unique on-farm pyrolysis technology which is easy to use and is affordable. And the idea is that we're insetting within the supply chain. The farmers themselves become the carbon removers. They benefit from the energy, they benefit from the carbon credits. They don't have to buy expensive biochar at £600 to £1,000 a tonne, and they're developing a product that's fit for their soils and their plant needs. Our credentials so far, we've won every grant that we've applied for. We've done £500,000 worth of growth trials, product development, patenting, and developed our technology at a prototype, which is at TRL 6. We've designed the heat recovery, next generation gas scrubbing, and a storage facility which we can then deliver the product. We're looking for £2 million investment to take our technology from TRL 6 to 9 and to build our sales and marketing team and build a wider senior team. From investment to TRL 9, we're looking at a 9-month sprint. The system's already designed, we just need the funding to build it. And we're looking to build the team and, as I say, deliver the existing pipeline which will produce revenue in the meantime. Our team is an experienced team of engineers, scientists and sustainability experts with a board of influential angel investors. Thank you very much. Sorry, I completely ruined that. I got thrown by that presentation being wrong.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Zoe.
thank you.
You did a great job. What I really like about this is that in terms of the whole supply chain, this is a really easy to insert, low capital cost piece, which has huge benefits throughout, which is a really great way to go about solving the problem. Question, did you tell me how much does it cost you to make one of these machines now and how much do you sell it for?
Okay, so at the moment, the prototype that we've built cost us $55,000 to build. We'll have 2 different iterations. I don't know if my engineer wants to come on board and support, but I think I can answer the questions. We're looking at a 45% margin. With heat recovery and storage, we'll be selling at 100,000 or 168,000. The idea of this, though, is that we're insetting within the supply chain. What we're looking to do is the food retailers, so our main market are the supermarket chains, restaurants. We believe we're the very first company in the world to have found a patented way of producing coffee waste biochar pellets, which we activate with sea kelp fertiliser. There's millions and millions of tonnes of waste coffee grounds which can't currently be pyrolyzed because they fall apart in the system, and we've managed to find a way to formulate that they stay intact and can then be delivered by traditional farm equipment. Okay.
Okay, so in terms of making the machine,
Yep.
are there different machines for different verticals? Or is
No,
it,
so it's one machine,
right?
and at the
You can
moment
put-
you could do it without heat recovery, or you could do it with heat recovery and storage, which is the optimum level. And we could bolt on that heat recovery and storage afterwards. So if we wanted to start producing the biochar now, we could do. We've had an awful lot of interest today from Brazil, countries like that, saying, can we license this, produce in Brazil, use it in the rainforest, in Africa? Yes, the opportunity is unlimited. We could do that.
Okay. And have you, in terms of the business model, have you considered like leasing the machine or renting the machine, or so to get over the challenge of spending $100,000 on a piece of machinery? As a farmer, you don't have that money.
No, so the whole idea of this is the farmer becomes the carbon remover. Okay, so at the moment, the farmer is classed as the person causing greenhouse gas emissions. At the moment, the biochar market, you've got big tech companies producing vast amounts of biochar that they can't sell because the farmer's not buying it, because they don't trust it, they don't know about it, and it's too expensive. So the whole point of this is that the farmer is removing the carbon. What we're doing is digitally measuring, recording and validating and acting in between the food retail sector and the farmer. So the farmer has no capital outlay at all. What he's doing is effectively leasing the machine from the food retailer. So the food retailer is bulk buying the carbon credits, which is generating his insetting to remove his scope 3 emissions, accelerating him to net zero. And what that means is the farmer is benefiting from his own green energy generation. He's producing his own fertilizers, offsetting the need to buy fertilizers. He's improving his yields, which we've proven up to 25 to 40% increase in silage cuts, and also for greenhouse growers, protected cropping.
Okay, I think you answered the question. So the retailer is buying the machine.
So the retailer initially buys the machine through bulk purchase of credits through Pure Earth, Ferra, etc. So they're doing a long-term deal. After the machine has been paid for through the carbon removal credits, the farmer's got an additional revenue stream coming in that he can use, and we've got less than a 5-year ROI. Okay.
Thank you, Sylvie. And nice recovery from the wrong presentation. It's not easy, so well done on that. I think that the presentation is very confusing, to be honest. I think just like probably around slide 4 or 5, I actually understood that what you're actually doing is on-farm pyrolysis system that makes it easy, scalable, and creates new revenue streams for farmers.
Yes.
And I think that's what you should be leading with.
Okay.
And again, I think that only around the questions we have understood who is your main market and what is the business model.
Okay.
So just this is a feedback from me, and I know we are short on time, so I'm going to pass it to.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really echo the questions and the feedback here. Yeah, I would very, very much simplify a lot of your presentation to cut through. Again, great recovery. You did amazing. You got this. That's another check on the wall for a successful pitch. Well done. Brilliant. I love what Tumblebug is. I mean, I personally discovered the value of like spent coffee grains because I have a coffee machine at home, and now I put it in my indoor plants and they love it. So I'm sure farmers will. Thank you so much for your time. That's all we have time for. Thank you again. Well done, Sylvie. So now our amazing judges will compare notes, and decide who has won this round of pitching from the Food and AgriTech stage. And as I mentioned earlier on, they will go on to pitch at the final. And they have an opportunity to pitch, and then from there we'll choose a winner, and they will get flown to the States and have an opportunity to pitch in the Startup World Cup for $1 million. Fantastic. 2 seconds. Brilliant. What a fantastic array of pitches we have had today. Very interesting to see how people present their babies. It's honestly it takes a lot of guts and energy to come up here and present to a room of strangers essentially and try to convince us that what they have is changing the world, having an amazing impact, and we should hand over our cash to make them visible. If we could, everyone is a winner. I think overall feedback from the collective is simple scales, complex fails, usually. So try to simplify your message, try to drill down your value proposition, and you get this by speaking to your prospects and your clients again and again and again. Oftentimes as founders we get in our head that we know best when actually the market decides. So use the language that your customers use. And hopefully today the feedback that we've given as investors will help you shape your pitch for next time. One sentence, two sentences on each, what we liked, and then at the end, yeah.
One sentence on each of the companies, or?
Perfect. So what we'll do feedback on. You need to put your headphones on.
All right, I can't hear myself think. Okay, well look. Actually, this is all really good stuff, and I think just looking through the notes and so on, one of the things about the presentations generally, some of them were quite complicated and so on. So if you think about the end of, like here we are at the end of 20 minutes of presentations, question for you guys to think about is like, what do you actually remember? So when you go away at lunchtime and tell your friends what you saw in the last 20 minutes, what are you going to tell them? And if I'm honest, one of the most standout slides was Rob's one when he said, I need the money because I need to stay married. And so I'm thinking, what was that to do with? Oh yeah, that was to do with his supply chain thing. So just a point about the presentations generally, they really, you know, as the human capital guy in my business, I'm looking for a great storyteller. And it's a talent that lots of people probably should try and develop a bit more of. So when it comes to the fintech, so Jen with Atmo, I think it's great that this is kind of started. I think, I mean, the world of finance, unfortunately, is much more important than I would like it to be. But I'm not sure, you know, I think banks are really their own thing. So I think this is a project that if I was an employee at the bank, this might well go quite a long way. We'll see how it works. We're going to go on. So so Rob's thing, I think Rob's project is a bit more complicated than he might think. If you just stick to rice and you do it in 6 different countries with all those farmers doing all those photographs every day consistently, there's a lot of potential for it to be sort of messy. I think it kind of works, and I love the intention of it, and you know, there is some proven success. So well done for that. The Cool Run thing, I was just saying, we actually invested in a company in New York that was trying to containerize deliveries all around the city where you can't get 40-foot containers in. So this idea of doing that with Cool Chain is super important. So yeah, big fan of that. I'm a bit worried that it's made of plastic and metal and stuff like that, but you know, and it's quite expensive. I mean, we have a supply chain from China where our program starts from, so making things out there is going to be a lot less cheap, and that would probably apply to Sylvie as well. Good to know that the tumblebug is another name for the dung beetle, and yeah, I think that kind of presentation was a little bit confusing. I wasn't quite sure who was buying what for how much from who and how much profit there was in it. I also think that like recycling stuff generally, whether it's on the farm or from the back of a factory, when we invested in a company that took brewery waste, produced flour to make cookies with. So you have like 2 lots of income. You pay for the waste, get paid for the waste, and you get paid for selling the ingredient on in the second place. So lots to think about, and thanks and well done.
Yes, so thanks all 4 businesses. Really appreciate your presentations. It takes a lot to come on stage and share your innovation with the world. So everybody who came in and did that, well done. And based on the feedback that Alan just shared, we think that the Cool Run is the winner of the session. So congratulations, guys. Really well done on very clear value proposition, very clear business model, very clear team presentation and the market placement. So well done and good luck in the finals.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And can I get a round of applause for Alan and Julia of our panels today? Thank you so much. I'll see you guys the grand finale 2:30 on the main stage, where you'll see the winners of today and previous pitch events from yesterday and today, where they have a chance to win the chance to raise $1 million in the World Cup Startup Final in the States. All the best, guys. Cheers and see you soon.